What's going on, YouTube? We're back at it for another video, and today, well, we've got the easiest method in order to get done with that hardest mission in the game, the retrieve essential personnel. Now, this one is definitely one that I know a lot of people have been struggling with when it comes to a lot of different difficulties, apparently. Not just into the higher difficulties, especially when it comes to Helldive, but by far this is more than likely going to be the most consistent and easiest method you can utilize to get this done. I know I showcased a video the other day that was basically kind of showcasing the brute force and holding out in that central position and being able to get it done in that method through certain stratagems. But this one by far is going to be a whole lot easier and give you a bit more consistency when it comes to being able to actually win this mission, along with reducing the amount of RNG that can affect your capability of winning it. Now, the strategy goes as follows. Effectively, what we're going to do with this one is we're going to drop as far away from the base as we possibly can. I know with the previous one, we're trying to drop as close as we can to immediately start hitting those doors as fast as we possibly can. But with this one, we want to make sure that we're on the outside edge. Now, there will be some maps that are a bit of a smaller island with less land on the outside, but just land somewhere next to the coastline and you still will be able to aggro the bots outside of the base's location. Now, before you get into the match, you need to designate that one person is going to be the runner. They are going to be somebody that is going to run from the outside edge all the way to the base and then start running in circles. Preferably somebody with light armor that just has that stronger stamina regen and larger amount of stamina. But effectively, as soon as we come into the match, immediately you want to take aggro on that outside edge. All four players are going to be right there, and we're going to try and find some patrol or some bot location to get them to pop off a flare and start getting all those bot drops on top of us. In that instance, as soon as you start seeing bot drops come in, the person that's the runner is going to immediately start heading towards that base and then start popping on those doors. Now, what this is going to cause is all the bot drops are no longer going to start dropping on the base where the doors are, but they're going to start dropping where the three players are that are holding out. Now, in this instance, this is where it gets a little bit tricky, and this is where some RNG can start playing into it. You want to maintain your distance as far away from that base as possible. If you start getting into some of those instances where you need to start retreating in different directions, try to do it to the left or the right or in a circular radius around the outside edge and try not to push in closer towards the base. That's going to start pulling those bot drops to possibly start landing on the base itself, and we want to make sure that they're constantly just dropping on the outside edge. So you're not exactly looking to fully board clear all of these bots coming in, but you're effectively trying to just eliminate enough of them to constantly keep the aggro on top of you and the other two teammates that you have on the outside edge, and that way it never affects the person that is opening all the doors, and no bots will be dropping over at the main base. More than likely, the person at the main base will literally have just about nothing there to deal with. Now, occasionally there may be some patrols that come by them, but in general, they will be able to cycle through those doors as fast as they possibly can. They would literally just keep doing laps, hitting whatever the interact button is, and just keep blooding civilians in. Now, arguably, this can get done in just about 7 minutes. I've had it happen in one match, but that's when everything just went right. Now, there can be a few complications with this, so let's get into some of the situations that may arise during the middle of utilizing this type of strategy. Now, depending on what your part is that you play inside of this strategy is going to depend on what type of situations you may be encountering. Now, let's start off with the three people that are going to be in the holdout position. When it comes down to the stratagems the people may be using, it is going to be up to whatever you're comfortable with, but do keep in mind this is one of those moments where I would highly suggest and do not use barrages, do not use things that are very easily something that could end up getting the team killed. You will want to focus on stratagems that are good for defense and DPS, giving you a little bit of that clearing power, being able to push back those enemies, but not have so much that focuses on completely eliminating them, as I believe if you do fully clear the board, which more than likely isn't always going to happen, you will end up in a situation where the bot drops may end up going in a different direction. So you want to maintain aggro upon yourself. And when it comes to the complications, there's only two things that can really go wrong when it comes to the three people holding out. One, you get pushed into a point where you have to keep retreating, and then you end up getting a little bit too close to the base, and then next thing you know, there's a couple of bot drops that are starting to drop on top of the one person that's over at the base opening the doors. In that situation, you really just need to pull back out. You need to try and pull those enemies. That one person that's at the base is going to need to just be able to take care of the small amount of bot drops that are landing over there. But the biggest thing is try to reel back as much as you possibly can, because the longer you stay closer to that, the more bot drops that are continuously going to land on the main base itself. And it's going to get to a point where that one person's going to have to retreat out to the location where you guys are, drop something in over there to hopefully clear a bit of it out, and then basically rinse and repeat what has essentially started from the beginning of the game. Now, the second complication that can happen is if all three of you go down, and then next thing you know, the only person that's available to call anybody in is going to be the guy that's at the base, which is not going to be something he is going to want to do. In that instance, the one person that is the runner at the base needs to run away from the base as quickly as they possibly can once all three people are down. That way, the bot drops don't start landing at the base, get everybody spawned in again, and then basically do another one of those rinse and repeats, restart what we've started from the beginning of the game, get those bot drops going, and then run back in and finish off the rest of those civilians getting evacuated. Now, on the opposite side, if you're playing as the runner, if you're the designated person that's going to be running in and basically doing laps around that base and opening those doors, most of the time, the only thing that could be a problem is, depending on how far away you are, there may be some bots along the way as you go in. Try to avoid the patrols, try to avoid dragging anything along with you, but in general, it probably won't be that big, and since they've already aggroed with those bot drops, you won't have anything dropping in on you in that instance. You just might need to be able to clear some of that out. And when it comes to stratagems, I would strongly suggest having at least a railgun, if not railgun and the orbital laser, as in instances where you may have some of those bot drops coming in, you need to be able to deal with them fairly quickly, and the orbital laser is perfect for being able to clear up a couple of those bot drops. And on top of that, the railgun just being able to have that damage you need to quickly deal with any threats that may show up, as there are still going to be patrols that are rolling around, and you may occasionally get maybe possibly some of those medium bots rolling in by a very small pack of them, and being able to just eliminate them as fast as possible is just going to benefit you in getting this done as quickly as possible, as you'll just be able to eliminate them and then just get straight back into just opening those doors and just constantly hitting that circle back to back, getting all of those civilians out as fast as you possibly can. And depending on the map location, obviously with the one I have with the gameplay footage showcased right now, it does take a little bit more time to hit each one of those, and I definitely didn't have the light armor on right here, so I am not as fast. I still have the medium armor on for the 50% reduction, so this can be faster for some of the other players, or at least it'll be faster for you if you're utilizing that light armor in these instances. And I would highly suggest going with the one that has Scout on it, as it's going to be the one to benefit you the most when it comes to being able to not drag anything in with you. If you do go past some patrols or possibly locations where the bots are at, you have that 30% reduction to them being able to notice you as you're passing by. So that can be a huge benefit as you're going in, and just make it a bit easier to not have anything to deal with along the way in, and be able to just get straight to those doors and start opening them. And if you do die, don't even worry about it. They'll just be able to call you in, and you'll be able to just run straight back in. It will be pretty much no problem, as long as you don't get called back in directly in the middle of all the bot drops, where you just instantly keep getting churned. You know, if you don't have a teammate that's properly throwing you in the opposite direction to where you can make yourself a clear path to get back in and start opening those doors, that can be a little bit irritating. But overall, it shouldn't be hard to be able to come back in. And in those instances where you may have died to a couple of bot drops, if the teammates got a little too close, don't even worry about it. You've got everything you need. Grenades are going to be perfect for clearing out some of those smaller packs that may have come in. And at that same point, the orbital laser always comes in handy. And if you're looking for something that's just going to passively give you that capability of taking care of those threats in the meantime while you're doing this rotation, pop a couple of those mortars down, and you're going to be pretty much set and ready to go. That's pretty much going to be it. Nothing else can really go wrong besides the possibility of just the team not coordinating properly enough, or if you've got three people that just can't make that holdout situation, that may be one of the downfalls of you. if everybody's not getting their own job done, it's pretty much one of the biggest reasons this may not end up working out. But overall, I've had a pretty consistent win rate with this when I'm in Helldive difficulty and playing with randoms. Just communicate to them, this is the strategy I'd like to go for, this is what we're going to try and go for, and just give them the rundown before you actually end up dropping in. 9 times out of 10, I'm pretty sure you're going to have a team that will work with you on this, and you will be able to get this done even if they have zero knowledge or zero experience with doing this before. And ultimately, this is just going to benefit the player base as a whole if we can just get this information out there to them. We constantly keep kind of reiterating this to some of those randoms as this is the way to get this mission done as effectively as possible, and we can start ending up winning a lot more of those defend planetary missions. You know, there's nothing better than that moment, being able to take back those planets. We already, Levelon Creek is gone as well, and we'll get it back later. But the first thing we got to do is defend some of these planets that are being invaded, and then push on to the planets to make sure that we can connect back into that sector of the galaxy and start pushing even deeper into that automaton territory. But that's going to be it right there, guys. Hopefully you've enjoyed this. Hopefully this has helped you out. This is something that can really make a huge benefit to the player base overall. I would really hope to see that in the coming future, especially now that it is definitely something I feel a lot more comfortable with being able to take on this mission at Helldive difficulty. Specifically, on lower difficulties, there's a multitude of different ways that you could probably run this with the decreased amount of enemies, but even then it's still going to be a bit of a challenge, and hopefully this is going to help those players down there to get this completed and get it completed consistently as they keep progressing through these campaign runs. But on that note, if you'd like to see more of this content, hit that subscribe button, and if you'd like to see some of this content live, hit that link down in the description. Follow me over at Twitch. We'll be streaming daily. And on that note, have a good one.